Curious to get his thoughts on the night and, of course, how the night ended regarding his guy, Francis Ngannou. He's one of the best coaches in the sport. We've had him on before. Always great to have Eric Nicksick on. He's kind enough to join us right now. Hello, Eric. How are you, my friend?
What's up, Ariel? How you been, man?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for coming on. Very busy night for you. 3 straight fights to close out the card. That's never happened before, right?
I've had 3 in the same night, but I don't think 3 right in a row.
Right, and especially to close out, like, they just got bigger, right?
Yeah. There's each one. So, I told Dan the moment because Puna was the first fight. So the moment I walked with Puna, I looked at Dan, and it was almost kind of me saying this for myself too, but I just told Dan, I was like, hey, no matter the outcome, we're never too high, never too low. We're going to come right back and whatever we do, right? Like, just don't be riding that momentum too high or if we're down. And it was almost kind of me reassuring myself too, no matter the outcome, just come back and hit the reset button.
Yeah, because they've had a long-standing relationship. They've known each other for years, dating back to Hawaii. So even them fighting back to back is crazy. By the end, were you exhausted?
I actually felt pretty good. Like I just wanted to hang out with my wife. So we went out and grabbed a steak and an old fashioned and got to kick back with my wife. And, she's my checks and balances on a lot of things. And obviously, we kind of heard the news. I knew what was coming down the pipe with Francis. So being able to talk to her and just kind of sit down and vent a little bit, I think really kind of, summed up the night for me in a good way.
Okay. And I want to get your thoughts on Francis in a moment, but I do want to give props to Sean Strickland taking this fight on 5 days' notice, fighting in a different weight class. Obviously, Imavov was doing the same, but a great performance, especially considering we just saw him a month ago. And, back end of 2022 was tough for Sean after he was riding high. When he told you about, like, is Sean the kind of guy, I kind of feel like I know the answer to this question, but is he the kind of guy that gets an offer like this and comes to you and says, Coach, what do you think? Or is he the kind of guy that's like, hey, I'm fighting in 5 days?
No, he called and asked what I thought.
Wow.
And we went over everything. Ironically, I was on the phone with Mick, and then Sean was calling on the other line. So I hang up. I talked to Sean, and then I called Mick back. I'm like, hey, how come? He goes, oh, yeah. What do you think? And we went over some of the weight, and I just said, well, can we do 205 or 195 or what are they thinking? And Mick called me back and said they agreed to 205, which blew me away. Like I didn't understand why they didn't try to make Sean cut more weight. So, when I heard 205 and knowing Sean, and this dude's always in the gym, Ariel, like he lost his fight, came back in the gym 4 or 5 days later to help Brad and Puna get ready for their fight. And I think by doing so and having that type of mindset, we were all comfortable with him taking the fight. I broke down the fight. I looked at some of the things I thought we were able to exploit and attack. And I said, yeah, Ben, let's go for it.
Wow. So you think they should have said 85 or 95?
We couldn't have made 85. I know that, but why not try to make the guy cut weight? Why not say you kind of hold all the cards. So why not just say at 195 at the least? And if we come back and say we can't do 195, maybe they'll go to 200, something like that. But to not even try to make us cut weight, I thought was a huge flaw or kind of a misstep on their part, to be honest with you.
Do you think he could have made 95?
We would have made 95.
Wow.
Sean's tough as shit, man. Like, this dude won't make up excuses. I've seen him sit in the sauna for, 30 minutes straight, just trying to get that weight off, and especially at 85s. But he would have made the weight. But it would have been tough, and I think it would have made a difference on fight night, to be quite honest with you.
How much did he weigh when he accepted it on Monday?
212.
Okay, wow. So so all he had to do was cut 6 pounds, right, to make 206. I think he came in at 204, if memory serves me correct. So pretty impressive. By the way, is Sean the kind of guy who gets down, meaning he comes across as a very brash guy, right? I mean, he's weighing in on all kinds of things. He loves to be outspoken, but in those, settings with you at the gym in like the quiet moments, does he ever tell you like his confidence is wavering? Does he get up, down, or is he always up here?
He gets down, and I think, going in the Cannonier fight, he was still on the heels of the Pereira fight and getting knocked out. And I think that affected him. And I think that's why he fought the way that he did. And then I think that's why I cornered him the way I did in explaining how he needed more optics and to change the perception of what we're seeing in the fight. Like, yes, I thought he was winning the fight, but I don't think that he was like, putting enough, I guess, optics behind it, right? Like that's why I was asking for more kicks, to do more things, to give the judges some more things to add into their scoring criteria, right? And on Sunday, he called me after the fight. You know, I didn't think it was a robbery. That was not what I thought at all. I thought we didn't do enough to solidify what we should have done, because we understand what judging looks like these days. And how do you have to paint a picture that a 5-year-old kid's gonna like. So put sprinkles and sequence and glitter and everything on the damn thing. And that's what I was implying to him when I wanted more kicks and more, maybe some score takedown here or there, to play to more of the aesthetics of the fight as a whole. So when he called me on Sunday, he was like, "Yep, you're right. I didn't listen. I should have done this. Now I understand what you meant by the optics." And as a coach, Ariel, like, I have to be better to explain things better to him so he understands it in the moment. And now going into this fight, I think he understood those things.
Do you feel like he did a better job of that on Saturday?
I do. The one thing that we didn't do that I wanted to exploit was the low calf kick. In a lot of the tape that I broke down, Emanov he has a problem checking the kick, and doesn't really counter off that kick. And Sean is so good with the rear hand parry that it kind of goes together. When you parry the jab, you drop the calf kick. And it was something there as well when the way Emanov was floating to that direction, it just gave the kick away. But he decided to go with the front teep to the body, which I thought was also a good variant. But I think we could have done a little bit more there. Other than that, I was very happy with the performance.
By the way, I remember talking to you almost exactly a year ago, going into the Francis Ngannou versus Cyril Gane fight, and we talked about all the drama with, MMA Factory and whatnot. Just a quick gander at your social media makes me feel like there is a bit of a rivalry there, based on like what you tweeted and some of the retweets. Is there a rivalry now? And now you've beaten them again, and you said something like, France hates me or something like that. What's going on?
No, nothing. I mean, it's just me having a little bit of fun. And,
Okay.
and look, at the end of the day, like, we're all competitors. I know Coach Lopez is a great guy. He's a great coach. They took some shots at us. And, when we beat Gone, I gave that man a hug, and that was all it was about. But, I got a little bit of more, nothing from the MMA Factory camp. It was more like from people from France talking shit all fight week long to me about taking the short notice. So that's what I meant more by like, France hates me. It had nothing to do with the camp. I have nothing but respect for those guys, man. I really do. I'm a competitor, and no matter who's on the other side of the corner, I just want to win. So that's all it was for me.
Okay, fair enough. I see a photo of Francis right behind you, and obviously it's the biggest story in the sport right now. You get maybe 10 minutes to celebrate this victory, and then Dana shows up at the press conference and drops these bombs on all of us. You alluded to this at the beginning, but just curious, like, did you know that was coming 100%? Or so you weren't blindsided by any of that?
Yeah, I knew it was coming.
Okay. How do you feel about what was said at the press conference?
I didn't even listen to it.
You have still not listened to it?
Nope.
Why not?
I haven't even listened to it. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like we get so trapped into social media. We get trapped into these things that force us into some sort of depression, or where you have to, comment or fight your way back, or, prove that you're right or whatever. And sometimes I just feel like I just want to stay busy and keep doing what I'm doing and not worry about what people say or what people think. The one narrative that I have been seeing was that, Francis is scared, and that shit just makes me laugh, but other than that, they're going to say what they want to say. They're going to run the narrative the way they want to run it, but I'm going to have my guys back 110%.
I went on a 1 hour diatribe at the start of the show about how insane it is to say about this particular guy, really to say about any MMA fighter, they're scared. But this particular guy, based on everything he has done in his life and had to overcome, to say he's scared of any man, like, I think Francis would fight 5 John Jones at the same time, because he just doesn't have any fear in his body based on what he's overcome. It actually enrages me to see that. I can't imagine how it makes you feel, considering how well you know him.
I mean, we fought the next up and coming Cyril Gane, the Phenom, on one fucking leg, So and against all of our advice,
right?
So you mean to tell me Francis is scared? He's not scared of anybody. He's doing what he feels was right for him. And I'll tell you this: we met with Dana and Hunter, me, Dana, Hunter, Francis. After the fight, we had a great dinner. And things were going in the right direction, I felt. we got in the car, and Francis looks over at me and says, if I sign this deal, if I do this without making any change, without doing all the things that I said I was going to do, I'm just another sellout. And I refuse to do that. He goes, I'm happy. I have more money than I ever imagined. I'm in a position that I never envisioned. And I have a stance where I can make a difference. And, I went home thinking to myself, man, like, this dude is willing to stand up for what he believes in, what's right. And I'm going to have that dude's back 110%. I know we walked away from a lot of money. All of us did. But I believe in the next chapter because I know the author. I know what he's capable of doing. And I love him, man. That's my guy. And I have his back 110%. I think that's what makes our team so dynamic is the love and respect we have for one another. So it is what it is.
So that was a year ago. Ultimately here, January 2023, are you surprised it has come to this?
I think I sat on the fence. I'm more of on the optimistic side of everything, Errol. And I was hoping things were going to go in the right direction. And, to be honest, I felt the UFC was doing the best that they could on their end too. I think there was terms and there were certain things in there that, Francis just wasn't comfortable with. He wasn't about the money. I think the money was right. And I think the money was very good, but he kept talking about, it's not about the money. It's about these issues and these stances. So they couldn't write a check big enough to make him change or waver on those stances. So, people can say whatever they want about him. I know this true character and his heart. And dude, I love the guy to death for doing what he believed in.
I'm really happy that you said that because, again, I was talking about everything at the beginning of the show and focused a lot on what Dana was saying because I felt like there were a lot of inaccuracies in what he said. I've never met Hunter Campbell. I've never spoken to him other than one text back and forth. Everything I hear about him is that he's generally a fair guy, doesn't deal with emotion, doesn't negotiate with emotion. There's no bullying. Of course, he's going to have his stance. That's negotiation. And I actually agree with what you're saying. I believe in their world and under their terms, what they were offering him was a good deal. The problem is, as you just said, and that he has said time and again, it wasn't just about the money. I think that they don't want to set the precedent of doing this and that for him and opening the door to other things, because then, of course, if he gets it, then other guys are going to say it as well. That's what I believe in. And so that's why it's so disappointing. I don't know if you heard what I said, but I was like, why couldn't Dana just go to the press conference on Saturday and be like, look, we gave it our best shot. He's one of the all-time best. It's a bummer. We've got another great fight for you. We wish him the best, and maybe down the line we can work this out. Maybe we can revisit. But for now, he's going to go his way, and we'll go ours. As opposed to hurting him on the way out, damaging. That's the part that bothers me. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I completely understand. And that's their way of trying to sell and promote a new fight and to try to get a new, storyline going, because the one that's been circulating the last few weeks hasn't been very pleasant. You know what I mean? So I think it's imperative to get something else rolling in the news.
Right.
And that's the way they're going to do it. And why not use Francis?
What could I ask? And if you want to plead the fifth, I totally understand. In fact, he will be on the show tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to speaking to him. What do you think he does next?
He's got something up his sleeve. Okay. I'll let him talk to you about it.
All right.
But we talked on Friday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I don't know. But I talked to Mick, and I knew Cyril's in town. He was cornering his teammate. I knew that he had met with Hunter. I knew things were moving in that direction. And to circle back with Hunter, man, he's been nothing but great to me. I have nothing but respect for those guys. And again, like, I have to have a great business relationship with them because Francis isn't my only fighter in the UFC.
Sure.
And I have a lot of respect for Hunter, and I feel like he does for me too. And that's why he, puts me in some of these conversations as well. But again, like I tell these guys, I'm the drummer in the band. I'm not the lead singer. So I stay in my lane. I'm not the manager. I don't deal with this stuff. But I'll be there to listen for both sides. And if I can help communicate, I will. But at the end of the day, man, it was up to these guys and what they were trying to figure out. And we just couldn't come to those terms. But I talked to Francis, and I just said, hey, man, this tweet that Cyril put out was very calculated, right? You know that this is how these guys work. And he goes, I know. So I said, what's next? And he just said, Bubba, I got some up my sleeve. And that's all I said. I just giggled. I was like, all right, man. So I believe in him, man. I think he's got something in the works.
Obviously, MMA is a no-brainer, but if in fact he does go a different route, a different sport, will you be working with him?
Yeah, because I think no matter what he decides to do, if he ends up going into boxing, then that's Dewey Cooper's realm,
Right.
and we have a guy right there ready to go. And I think I'll probably take more like a John Kavanaugh route, like he did with Connor. I'll probably be involved to some capacity. But again, like we talked about, man, we're just this close, tight family, and we take care of one another. We'll be together no matter what. So I'll be there for whatever capacity he needs me as.
And his spirits now, how is he doing after all of this? This is not a fun thing to deal with.
Yeah, I actually called him this morning to say hi, and he didn't answer. So he's back in Africa right now, so the time difference is all crazy. So I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but knowing Francis, I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah. Fascinating stuff, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out, and hopefully other people are paying attention as well. That you could be the heavyweight champion of the world, and things are going to be said, and things are going to be dealt with a certain way. And I'm assuming you're at the gym. Is this the gym right now? You're at the gym, right?
Yeah, I'm in the office right now.
I'm assuming everyone's talking about it, right? At the gym on this Monday?
Well, we'll see. We'll see today at practice when we get to
what time's practice?
I'm sure it's going to be 3:30.
Okay, 3:30 Pacific, so 6:30 our time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it'll be a topic, and it was that all during fight night. When I was actually wrapping Dan Igue's hands, and we're getting ready to go, and I just shut my phone off because. And then after the win, after Dan and Sean won, there was like everybody's kind of Trojan horsing you, like, "Hey man, congrats on the win. Hey, can you tell me anything about Francis?" And I was like, not speaking about that right now.
How is his knee? Could you give us any sort of insight on that?
Oh, Ariel, he looked amazing. So December 22nd was our last spar before he went home, and I swear, like back to the Stipe camp, like just everything was firing on all cylinders. He looked absolutely amazing. He sparred 5 rounds. The variance of his strikes, the kicks that he was throwing, the fit-ins, the wrestling, everything. Like I got done, I was like, man, like if we want to fight March, this is very achievable. If this is what is down the line. So he looked amazing, and I'm just excited to get him back in the gym and get right back to work.
Do you have to go to Brazil? Do you have anyone on that card?
I did. I was going to go to Brazil with Brad Tavares, and then I was going to corner Cody Stamen. Unfortunately, Brad had to pull out of his fight, and then I was on Brad's flight. So Brad was paying for my flight out there, and in lieu of that, I was going to be able to corner Cody. So once it was the fight was canceled, my flight Cody had to pick up, and it was going to be about $2,500 on short notice. So,
oh no.
Cody's in great hands. He's out there with Eddie Baracco, and I'm going to be on FaceTime talking with those guys all week. But I'm excited to go out there or go see him fight. So it's nice. I get to stay home and spend some time with the family.
Right. One last thing, because you mentioned how you're not the manager, you're just a coach, but in some situations they tag you in, which speaks to their respect for you. My understanding is, Francis has a great relationship with Markel Martin, who's in that picture as well, who is more, I guess, of an advisor to him now, and he's not so much as involved in MMA. And that's a tough thing for Francis being on the front lines, dealing with these things. Tough thing. And again, speaks to him and his courage and his brains. Do you like being involved in this sort of thing? Or would you rather just tell me when you're fighting? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like the fighting part.
Okay.
I think eventually, if this is something that I would want to get into, maybe as on a manager side of things, that I'm learning and understanding that side of the sport more. And I've been in the sport for 15 years now, and I think inherently you are going to understand the business side better. But I think it just muddies the waters, unless you're a fighter, or excuse me, you're a coach and a manager, that's your hat, then you're going to do those things. But I'm just not that right now, and I'd never asked to be. So I just try to stay in my lane. I don't want to cross over when mix words or do something that, when you look at it this way, most managers are trying to get you to sign on the dotted line. That's how they make their money.
Right.
And I think Markel got shit on for actually being a stand-up human being and doing it what his client wanted him to do.
Right.
What his client was asking for, and he stuck by his client. And where most managers are going to get paid, they want to see that dude sign on the dotted line. And that's why I think people, even now, I'm seeing Markel's name being brought up, it's not Markel, it's Francis. He's the one that's negotiating his own deal. So there's no one to blame anymore, right? Francis knows what he wants. And he's like, why am I going to hire a manager or do anything when I know I'm going to negotiate to the best of my standards of what I want for my career? So, kudos to him, and, and really great for Markel, dude. That dude's a stand-up human being. And I think he took a lot of backlash for stuff that he wasn't doing wrong.
I agree. And selfishly, I hate the fact that maybe he's going a different direction. I think it's great to find happiness and not deal with this nonsense, because I think it sends, unfortunately, to the skeptics out there, like, hey, the UFC can decide who manages who, and that's a very dangerous thing, right? They shouldn't decide. Like, if they don't like your manager, tough luck. You got to deal with that guy. That's how it works in the real world. Unfortunately, sometimes the UFC isn't exactly, or MMA isn't exactly the real world. Would you like to see Francis have someone to fight these battles for him? That's a lot for a fighter to deal with.
I think to a degree. I think that, obviously you might want to have some sort of contract lawyer, somebody to come in and really sit down and go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. I think that part's important. And, I've given him names. I've sat down and said, hey, look, this is a good name. This is a good person, somebody that you might be able to work with, and maybe just to that level of standard. Or, hey, here's some good lawyers that I know that can maybe sit down and just go over your contract for you at the end of the day. But I think he definitely needs some sort of help when it comes to the legal side of those things. I think is important.
Yeah, I agree with that, though. It is very impressive how he's handling all of this, and I can't wait to see what he does. By the way, sorry about your Raiders. You're a Raiders guy, right?
That's more. I do it more for Brad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a kind of Raiders guy, but obviously when a team comes to Vegas, you're going to have to cheer for them, and that was the team we adopted. I was hoping it was going to be the Chargers years ago, but it ended up getting the Raiders, and I'll take them. But I'm pulling for your Bills, man, for sure.
Man. It was a dicey one yesterday. I think I aged 30 years watching that. That was sloppy football.
Playoff football, for
That's
sure.
right. That's right. And a big one tonight, Cowboys-Bucks. Really appreciate this, Eric. Thank you so much. Congrats on all the success. Congrats on a great 2022. Great start to the year as well. And wish you and the team nothing but the best. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about all of this.
Always great talking to you, Ariel. Take care, brother.
All right, there he is, the one and only Eric Nicksick, one of the very best coaches in the game, on the short list. We talked about him at the award show. And how about the fact we didn't really even get into the fact that after winning our award, Khabib said he's taking some time off.